Plies going viral talking about Kamala Harris, child. Y'all remember Plies? She got to see him through the fence line. Okay, that's Neo part, but y'all know who I'm talking about. So I'm gonna play a little clip for y'all to catch y'all up. And Plies wasn't wrong.
But to everybody who, especially the ones who look like me, and the men who look like me, who quick to, if Kamala want my vote, she need to explain herself to me what she gonna do for the black people. Listen, stop explaining themselves to you, or explain themselves to y'all. If y'all ain't willing, y'all cool with the white man not explaining himself. She need to explain herself to me what she gonna do for the black community. She want my vote. She need to explain herself. You ain't scared, I him. Well, she been in the office already 3.5 years. Why she ain't do all the things she said she was gonna do? Cause she fucking president.
Charlamagne on the Breakfast Club was hating on Plies bad, but what I think my brother was so eloquently trying to say was that a lot of us, people that look like me, people that don't look like me, people of color, non-people of color, have been conditioned to think that white is right. That's just how we're conditioned to think in this world, and we're thought to be skeptical of folks that look like us. Case in point, people are constantly saying, well, what is, even when Obama was president, what has Obama done for the black community? This is also a very Googleable question. There are a slew of articles from reputable publications that will come up and that will tell you. What has Kamala done for the black community when she, as VP, she hasn't done anything. So why would we vote for her? She hasn't done anything. Again, the same way y'all can Google when do the Jays come out, the same way y'all can Google what Kamala Harris has accomplished as VP. The point that Plies was trying to make is that the folks that are over here trying to vote for Trump, y'all aren't sitting back, the black folks specifically, the people of color across the board, immigrants, people of color, no one's sitting back and saying, well, what did Trump do for us specifically when he was in office? What has he done specifically for us when he was in office? No one can, and please don't talk about that stimulus check. Number one, that was not for us specifically. Number two, that was something that we were going to get anyway. That's what happens when there's devastation. We get stimulus checks. It's not the first time we got stimulus check. Has nothing to do with Trump. I know he signed his name on them or tried to. He wanted the clout. Trump did not give you a stimulus check. It came from the government. It would have came anyway, regardless of who was president. We were going to get those checks. So to say, what has Kamala done? To question her, should you question our elected officials? Of course you should. That's what we're supposed to do. Absolutely. But what Plies was trying to say is that question Kamala the same way you're going to question Kamala, the same way you're going to question Trump, the same way you will question any other politician on a local level across the board, regardless of race and regardless of gender. That's the part that a lot of y'all are missing, because a lot of y'all don't do that. And he said it so perfectly. He said, just because somebody is white does not mean that they're right. And it does not mean that they're smart. And just because somebody is black, it does not make them a criminal, a person of color, an immigrant. It does not mean that they're a criminal or that they're untrustworthy. And I think that that's what we've been conditioned to believe in this country by the powers that have be. And across the world, really, when you look at it, because when a white person goes somewhere, they're good. Wherever it is they go, across the globe. And for us, we don't have that same sentiment. We're very hard on each other. And y'all never want to talk about this. We're very hard on each other, but we don't treat white people the same. And that's what Plies is trying to say. Very simple concept. So if you're going to ask Kamala, oh, well, what have you done for the black community specifically? Ask Trump the same thing. What has he done for the black community specifically? Because the only thing that I know that he did was he put 5 boys in the New York Times and called for their execution. Oh, or the time when he basically discriminated against people of color and didn't let them move into his building. Oh, and don't forget, his son-in-law did the exact same thing and was raising the rent on women with children during the pandemic when people weren't working. People of color, women of color. So that's what I know Trump to have done for people of color. But I mean, educate me, tell me. When it comes to Kamala, I can't talk about the things that she's done, but you guys also have to remember too, Kamala is running for the president of the United States. She's not running for the president of black people. She's not running for the president of South Asian people. She has to represent the entire country. It's bigger than just our community. Black people represent 11% of this entire country. She has to think about the entire country in totality, across race and across gender. That's just what it is. That's just what it is, and that's just what it means to be the president of the United States. What has Kamala done since she's been president? What has she done? I'm so happy you asked. Let me tell you. Kamala, pardon me, Mrs. Harris, she led the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention. So before her, this has never been done before. It's basically just a coalition, an initiative to stop gun violence in this country. Again, this is all very Googleable information. Everyone else can Google a flight. Everyone else can Google what time happy hour starts. Y'all can Google this gun violence prevention initiative that she started to prevent gun violence in schools. There's all type of regulations that she's putting on folks that there's going to be regulations put in place. You can't just go to Walmart and buy a gun or wherever it is that y'all getting the guns from anymore. She's leading the charge to put a stop to all that. She led the charge on maternal mortality, She led the charge on the maternal mortality task force. And what's so incredible about this is that she's not even a mom. And what that says to me, because as we know, black women are more likely to pass away from childbirth, right? So when people say, oh, what does she do with black people? Well, this is something that we're highly impacted by. So there you go. But the fact that she has the foresight to even do this and she's not even a mom, it just goes to show that she has stepchildren, but it just goes to show that she knows how to think outside of the box and she knows how to think outside of her. She's not just thinking from her point of view. She's thinking from a surround sound point of view and trying to help us as a community. Something that does not even directly affect her. I don't know that's what the other candidate is doing. I feel like he only does things that's going to help and benefit him and his friends, but I'm gonna keep it going. So basically, she expanded the postpartum Medicaid access. It used to be 60 days. Now it's 12 months. Now, I don't know anything about birthing no babies, but what I do know is that from what I hear, when it comes to postpartum, I think it's fair to say that postpartum lasts longer than 60 days. It probably lasts even longer than 12 months. But I think that expanding those benefits from 60 days to 12 months, I think that's incredible. And that's across many states that this initiative is benefiting. So I think that's valuable. And the fact that it's mostly, again, black women, black educated women that are impacted by this, I would say that is a win for the community, and it's something that everybody benefits from. She's leading the charge on eradicating lead pipes. Now, how many of y'all know someone from when we were younger that had lead poisoning? I know. I had cousins that used to be licking the walls and when we were younger, and they aren't all that right today. So that is a big deal, and that is something that can go. And that's something that speaks to her environmental portfolio and that she's leading the charge on. Another thing that I thought was really cool is that she's working on ending home ownership appraisal bias. I don't know if y'all ever have seen those stories that if you want to get your home appraised, there have been so many instances where these folks will come in, and if they see that you're black, if you're a person of color, they will lower the value on your home. I read one story where one woman asked her white neighbor to come in as her home was being appraised, and she took away everything that screams black in the house. The lorries came from off the off the kitchen counter, the black tribal paintings, the incense, anything that looked remotely Afro-American or black, whatever, she removed. And a couple of weeks before that, her home was praised. They lowballed her. She removed those things that her white neighbor stepped in for her child. Home value went off the roof. So again, this is something that you can Google. That is a really, really big deal. And it just goes back to redlining and all the systematic ways that the government and the powers that be and the man have tried to keep black people out of home ownership. And yeah. So again, this is something that you can look into. Google it the same way you Google what time the crab leg special starts. You can Google this. Working to end home ownership appraisal bias. Last but not least, that day off y'all get for Juneteenth, that was Kamala's idea. Y'all think Biden came up with that by himself? I need y'all also to know that basically, I feel like Kamala is the Michelle to Barack in a way. Did I say that right? That Kamala is Biden's Michelle in a way? Because we know that Auntie Shell was behind the scenes orchestrating things and helping Obama and all the things she did for this country. So obviously she's the VP. That's what she's supposed to do. But a lot of the initiatives that maybe people are giving Joe Biden credit for, I know that Kamala had a hand in it. And when people say, oh, she's not qualified, she's literally the VP. She literally watches the president every single day. There's no one more qualified for this job than her. There's no one more qualified for this job than her. She literally has been in politics for so many years. She's watched Biden do his job. You think she can't do that job with her eyes closed? I digress. What has Kamala done for us? I just laid out some things, and I know I've missed some things. So if you know of something, you put me on. Breonna Taylor. So we all know back in 2020, unfortunately, Breonna Taylor was, let's just call it what it was. She was murdered by a police officer in her sleep in her home. Plainclothes officers busted through her door when she was sleeping. Her boyfriend heard it, fired back, and unfortunately they fired back, and one of those bullets hit Breonna Taylor back in 2020. We know there was civil uproar, that there was protest beyond protest, and we also know that her killer, the guy that actually shot her, the police officer, he's roaming free. He's living his best life. He actually is a police officer in a nearby county. They wouldn't hire him back in Kentucky, in Louisville, but they hire him at a nearby county. So he's just living his best life. And unfortunately, Breonna Taylor is no longer with us, and her family is just left to grieve her memory. So yeah, so that goes... It just always goes back to that saying by Malcolm X: the most disrespected woman in America is the black woman. I think I have the entire, and I hate that. I hate that we're still talking about this. I think he did this speech. I don't know when he did this speech or when he said these words, maybe back 70s, 80s, 60s, I don't know. But I hate that it's 2024 and we're still feeling like this. The fact that the officer that shot and killed her is just roaming free. But I'm gonna add a little bit of a little cherry to the top. U.S. District Judge Charles Simpson, and I'm reading this from Mother Jones, a Ronald Reagan appointee, dismissed felony charges against two of the former Louisville officers involved in the police raid that led to Taylor's death. Instead, the judge ruled that Taylor's boyfriend was legally responsible for her death. The officers still face other charges. Again, this is via Mother Jones. The president nominates these judges. Keep in mind who, okay? We know what Ronald Reagan stood for. All right? Remember, war on drugs, very hard on crime. He was actually kind of just like Trump. I think he was an actor. He was doing something in entertainment. And he nominated this judge who essentially is blaming Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who was trying to defend himself, defend their home, and defend her, when plainclothes officers bust into their home at 12 o'clock at night. And he is saying that it was his responsibility, her boyfriend's responsibility, because he fired back. He didn't know they were police officers. He didn't know anything. All he knew was that his home was being attacked and he was being threatened and he had to do something about it. And this judge is essentially, is blaming him for her untimely death. Former Detective Joshua Jays and former Sergeant Kyle Meany were not present at the raid on Taylor's home in March 2020, but they allegedly lied to obtain a warrant for other officers to enter in search of drugs. And mind you, no drugs were found. So not only are these officers, along with the one that actually did shoot her, able to just walk free with no consequences, they lied to obtain the warrant. They lied and manipulated their way into that home to be able to unalive that beautiful woman who was, I think she was actually an EMT. Even if she wasn't, it's just like, I hate that Malcolm X's words are ringing true today. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. I know it's not nice to say hate, but I hate that it's 2024 and these are still the sentiment that we have to live with. This speech was actually very powerful. Oh, it's from 1964. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin? To such extent you bleach to get like the white man. Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race you belong to so much that you don't want to be around each other? No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he hate you? You should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what God made you. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me for another episode. Keidra, your favorite journalist, signing out. Till next time.